Oh, guys, welcome to Topeka Insiders, episode 16. Today, I have the privilege and honor of having my good friend Chuck Riccomini here with me today. And Chuck is a business professional, owner, business connector, and more importantly, he is a husband and a father, and big fan of Pavarotti. So,
among other things.
welcome, Chuck.
Thanks a
Welcome.
lot. Thanks a lot, Chen.
Well,
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
thank you guys for tuning in with us today. So we can talk about rewind maybe a year. How long we've known each other? A year?
It's just about a year now.
Just about a year.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to share how we met?
Yes, I'll never forget it. That was
Embarrassing to me, by the way.
well, so you and I had a mutual friend that actually referred me to the Topeka Generosity Networking Group. I got an email from our mutual friend, and you were looking for a specific position, and so I emailed you and asking you to join the group. But then when you replied to me like, okay, well, what's your business? I simply explained my business model, what I was doing.
Right.
And I think it was 2 days later, like you didn't respond right away. 2 days later, you're like, hey, I'm not interested. No thanks. And I get this response, and I had to respond back to you like, I don't think you understand what I'm asking here. I wanted to be part of your networking group. And so that was too funny. I had to tell you what my business model was. You thought I was trying to get
because
you
I asked
involved
in the first place, right?
Yes.
Because I asked in the first place. So pay attention to your communications, guys. Okay. I made that mistake. But anyways, we connected.
And so I just said, hey, I think there's a misunderstanding here. I want to be part of your network. And so
thank you for being nice, right, Chuck, throughout the process. So anyways, we connected through that incident and became very good friends. Decided to bring Chuck on here to share some insights about life, about business, about sales, about a lot of great things. And so the next few minutes will be awesome here. So Chuck, would you dive into a little bit your upbringing and how you kind of joined the business world?
Yeah, so I come from a family of 15, and usually a lot of people are just astounded when I say that, but there's 11 boys and 4 girls in our family, and there's no twins. So we often make the joke that our parents didn't cheat because they didn't have any twins. It's all one at a time. I'm number 7 of 15, so I'm right in the middle of that, and grew up here in a small town just outside of Topeka, St. Mary's, actually. So we lived north of St. Mary's out in the country, grew up out there, and enjoyed very much the outdoors and all of that. And I think growing up in such a large family, especially made up of boys, we shared a lot. I think it's one thing that has helped mold me into the person who I am today. It's just, I love helping people. I think it's something that was instilled at us at a very young age. It's just, hey man, we've got to share, we've got to help support each other. These currently are not hand-me-down clothes. I've been able to buy my own.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
But there was, we all had hand-me-down clothes, everything like that. So it was a good opportunity to just learn not to be, or to be selfless, to look out for each other. And, the other thing is, there's an incredibly strong bond in our family. Just there is a strong unit. We actually all very much love each other. That doesn't mean that there's not fights. That doesn't mean that there's not disagreements or anything like that. But
right.
We have everybody except for 2 sisters live within 20 miles or about 20 minutes of each other. So I have 2 sisters that both got married, and they actually live out in Kentucky. Other than that, we still all live within 20 minutes of each other.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, I know that Chuck, you mentioned, off camera, we had many talks, of course, with good friends. You have made many transitions in life. Mm-hmm. One of which was transitioning from seminary to the financial industry. Would you kind of tell us a little bit more about what kind of prompted that? And then, because due to family reasons, and can you kind of share that story with us and go into that? Yeah.
Yes. So after I graduated high school, I I've always wanted since first grade actually to become a priest. That was a lifelong goal that I had at a very young age. Obviously, during my teenage years or what have you, just kind of was in the back of my mind. But after I graduated high school, I was seriously contemplating it. I took a year off. I had an opportunity to go visit my dad's side of the family is actually from Italy. My dad grew up in northern Italy, and so I had the opportunity to go live over there for almost half a year in Italy, I got to meet my grandmother for the very first time there, and she could hardly speak English. It's very much the typical Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Wednesday. That's all she could say. But
Right.
so that was a wonderful experience. And then after that, I was in the seminary I entered the seminary studies for the priesthood. I was there for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so very transformative years. I'll never regret going through those. But as time went on, it just became clearer and clearer for me that God had a different path for me. And now I'm married, have 4 kids, and who knows how many more are on the way. 3 boys and 1 girl so far.
He's got a beautiful family there. So financial industry that you've been in and out for almost the past decade, right?
Oh, yes.
You're part of this big industry. Of course, there's so many branches to this industry. Real estate, financial advising, banking, so many of it. What got you into this transitioning from seminary?
So there are 2 things. One is we unfortunately lost our dad at a very young age. He was 54. Died of a massive heart attack unexpectedly while he was on a trip out to California, in fact. So there were still 12 children at home, and the youngest sibling was 2 years old. And it kind of left my mom in a very tough situation. And to this day, thank God that we actually had a home-based business that actually kept the family together financially, because had that not been the case, I think we would have we would have all been split up, stay with different families or what have you. And my parents are very much the salt of the earth type people, just absolutely love them or what have you. But I think like most people in our country is just, we don't have a very good understanding of finances, how it all works, what should be in place or what have you. And so unfortunately, again, my mom wasn't in the best situation financially because of what happened. So myself and 2 of my other brothers, we decided to get into the world of finances so we could, one, learn about it for ourselves, but also just not wanting to see other families have to go through some tragedy like that. Like, finances should be the last thing that you have to worry about, if you're burying a loved one. And it's
right.
You don't want to have that added stress or pressure or anything like that during that period of mourning or what have you. Having lived through it, it's tough.
Yes.
So he passed away actually 2 weeks before I graduated high school. And it was that fall that I went to Italy, got to meet his mother for the first time. And then after a year after that is when I entered the seminary. But this is the other side of why I got into finances, and then I'll explain how I transitioned out of finances into what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
When I was in the seminary, I had the opportunity, whether it was personal travel or missionary type stuff, I had the opportunity. I've been to 5 different countries outside of the US and over 38 states.
38 states. I remember that's what he told me.
38 states, yes. So I had the opportunity just to meet a wide variety of people, great people. It's, all over the place, not just here in the US, but in other countries. And I remember one of the main topics that always got brought up was finance. No matter who you talk to, it's just that was the stress. And unfortunately, that's the case. So when I left the seminary, seeing these families in this situation, knowing what happened to, just our personal story or what have you, knowing that divorce, the number one cause of divorce is financial stress, when I left the seminary, I knew, okay, priesthood's not for me. Obviously, I'll probably end up getting married, but I wanted finances to be the last thing that my wife and I would ever fight about. I guarantee you there's a lot of other things that we'll fight about, but finances is not going to be one of them. So that really got me to go down that road, learn it for myself. And then actually just applying it in my own situation and seeing how well it worked, just by having disciplined steps, processes, game plans, etc. Once I saw it for myself, it's like, wow, this is, it would be a tragedy not to share this with other people. And I think one of the biggest rewarding things about learning that, being in that business, is just 2 years ago, there was a lady that, her husband, very much like my mom's situation, her husband passed away in his mid-50s, just heart attack.
Wow.
Youngest kid was under a year old. I think she had 8 kids at home. I mean, almost identical to my mom's situation. I was able to actually step in and help her through that process. I think that was one of the most rewarding things in learning all that. So
that's awesome. So
that's how I got into finances originally. And I can tell you right now, even though my brothers will disagree with what I'm saying here, because they feel like that it's easy for me to talk to people and go introduce myself to people. I've always had a struggle just going up and shaking somebody's hand that I don't know, or talking to them over the phone or what have you. I've always struggled with that. So it's definitely been something that I've had to overcome throughout my personal and professional career.
I was going to ask you that because you kind of mentioned that. Of course, when it comes to owning a business, you own multiple businesses in part of many businesses. Communication is always important, very, very important. Like the communication we had up front, that could have killed our friendship. Yeah, that was we could have killed that connection or relationship from the get-go. Now, how did you overcome that? Because for me, people say, okay, it's really easy to get on camera to talk to people, but believe it or not, I mean, I oftentimes I would tell myself internally, hey, I don't really want to do that. Could it be just a monkey in your brain? How did you overcome that challenge? Hey, look.
Well, I still feel like I blush all the time when I get in front of the camera or talking to somebody. I'm not drinking wine, I promise. It's
right.
Just so after I left the seminary, I didn't get into finances right away. I actually worked a couple different jobs, and one of the positions that I ended up taking was inbound sales for a home security company. So we did home security systems for residential homes.
Okay.
And it was just inbound calls. We shipped out the equipment, people did the self, install and all that. I remember I specifically applied for that job because I knew how frightened I was to talk on phones. It was so bad that I would not even leave a phone message on people's voicemail because I just really could not stand the way that my voice sounded. I would hear a recording my voice and just be like, oh man, why would anyone listen to that?
That voice is just too beautiful for me not to cry about it.
Right. So wow. That's certainly not how I felt about it. So that was my first experience with sales, actually.
But you put yourself in that situation because you knew that it could be a challenge, or it was a challenge for sure.
Yes. So within 2 years of being with that company, it's funny how this happens, because I did put myself in it was a huge challenge, but within 2 years, one of my managers told me that I was one of their top phone sales reps in the company.
So did you notice that increase like over time, like all day, one day you just woke up, be like, hey, look, I'm good at it? Because I mean, I'm just telling you guys on camera, Chuck is really good at it. So did you just like one day you woke up, or incrementally you feel like, hey, look, this quarter I'm doing better, or today I'm doing better than yesterday?
Incrementally. And I think one of the things that actually helped me get over it was I had to listen. They made me listen to my own recordings.
I need to do that.
And then it was not only listen to my own recordings to hear what I was saying, but we listened to it in front of the whole sales team.
Dang, they did that to you?
Yes.
That was part of their process.
So it was part of the training, and you know, we used not just my calls, but other people's calls to, hey, this is what to do, what not to do. Hey, this is how you overcome this objection or what have you.
Right.
And so I just got used to hearing my voice through recording, because we all have a perceived notion of how we sound or whatever. But then when you hear it played back to you, it's a little intimidating at first. And then I just got used to it. I said, you know what? People still like me. They still listen. It's not like people are hanging up. And so that just gave me more and more, confidence to just talk to people.
I see. Wow. That's
and really, and you asked this at the beginning, like, how does it, how growing up in a big family, does that affect how you conduct business or life or what have you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, growing up with 10 brothers, they're easy to call BS on you.
Right.
So it's like, you don't treat other people like that. They could see through you right away. So when I approach business, I try to approach it like, hey, family, if this isn't something that I would do with my siblings, my brothers, my sisters, or what have you, if I don't think it's good for them, it's certainly not good for my clients. And so just always keeping that type of approach.
Because I know family is a big deal for you. I mean, it's a very important deal to you. I feel like the family concept has always been the core of your business and how you run business and connect people. And then so when you traveled overseas and throughout different states, like, did you experience that as well from the people that interacted, or were there some phenomenal moments that you feel like you want to share with us from the family aspect, from overcoming challenge aspect?
Oh yeah. So I lived right outside of Rome for, several months. And there was another struggle that I did not like going places without being able to share it with other people.
Say that again?
I did not like going to visit different monuments or different places without going with a group of people, because I feel like you can get so much more out of what you're going to see when you have either your friends or family or someone like there to enjoy it with you.
Interesting.
You've never felt that way?
I'm the complete opposite. I would like to go by myself.
So yeah, that was another challenge. I actually had forgotten about that until you asked. So I would force myself to go, and I'm in Italy, of all places too. It's like you have so many different things to see, but I like the ability of being able to share things with people. And I don't know if that's just part of the family upbringing or what have you, but that was then I would go out and make, visit with some people. I still remember this old couple I met they're from California. I remember just, hey, do you mind if I tag along with you? They're sightseers in Rome, and we went and saw a couple of different places. Just that's awesome. Good connection. Yeah. That's great. I was 19 at the time.
19 at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward a little bit in your personal life. We're gonna drop some golden nuggets here. So you met your wife. You guys have 4 beautiful kids, and she has been able to add a lot more elements to your life. So what has been some of the profound moments that you feel like, hey, you found your better half, and she has completed your life?
Where do I start?
Yeah.
It really, one of life's biggest decision is who you'll marry. And I think with Bridget, it's just it's the support and the trust that she gives. It's hard to find a partner that has trust. And I mean, obviously you have to earn that, or what, to make that work. But she comes from a culinary background. She used to manage and run restaurants for 10 years. She's a fabulous cook. I love it. Can't go wrong with that.
Right.
But she's got an eye for detail. And then as far as dealing with people person too, she's very good at communicating with people and you know, we both share the same vision of wanting to raise our kids with, hey, you know, have some social awareness, being respectful, all of that with your elders or peers or what have you. But the biggest thing is just the unbelievable amount of support and love that she gives. And I don't mean to say that in any cliche way, but she really does. She runs the family life while I'm out doing things like this.
Yeah.
And having that support, and fortunately we're in a position where she's able to stay at home full time too. So that's a huge blessing.
Right. And Chuck does the laundry, guys. You know, I'm just making sure you guys know that Chuck does a really good job with laundry. Well, I got to ask you this $1,000,000 question. You know, that all the nice words were awesome. So what has been the biggest thing that you have learned from your spouse? Like, what has been the biggest blessing? I mean, of course, among all the blessings, what one thing stands out the most? That from life experience you guys share together, what's one thing you learned from her that'd be like, wow, that's awesome. You know, I learned this from her.
I'm not as right as I thought I was.
We'll talk that
Yes.
off camera. So, I mean, I've learned a
Well,
lot from my wife too.
yeah,
You know, over years, made me a better person, much better person.
Yeah, it's offering a different perspective of life that, quite frankly, I don't think it would have had before.
Right.
You know,
That's
so
incredible. That's awesome. This is being a great conversation here. Well, let's dive a little bit more into the business world. We can thank you so much for sharing all your personal aspects. You're a natural connector. You know, Chuck, you're a natural connector. When it comes to business, connections are more important oftentimes than anything else. So what's your philosophy on connecting people and the connections and relationships as a whole?
philosophy on that is, love what Henry Ford said. I'd rather make 1% off of 100 people than make 100% off of one person. And so making connections with other people, it's not necessarily, hey, there's a way to monetize it or capitalize right on it the very first meeting or first connection or the first miscommunication in our case here.
That will be remembered forever. I mean, for the rest of my life.
Yes. I won't let you forget it. It's collaboration, I think, is currency, and being able to connect people with the right people. It's something that is, hey, you're able to help someone out. There is that innate sense that a person has that, hey, I'd love to return the favor.
That's incredible.
I don't think it's very sophisticated or anything like that. I don't think it needs to be. It's just, hey, connect, visit, talk.
Do you feel like you were born with that capability because you came from a big family and that made a big impact on you? Because honestly, you know, you have come across way more business people than me, because you went to so many places, more places than me. Obviously, there's a different set of philosophy other people believe in, right? Not every company is going to be operating with the same philosophy. Some people, sadly, don't believe in connections. They believe, I mean, I've seen people or business owners, they believe in making 100% off that one person. See if they can find another person that can make 100% off of.
Right.
That's a different business model, right?
Well, I think it's something that has evolved over time, because I don't remember if I mentioned this to you before or if it was someone else I was having a conversation with. Growing up, I never thought that I would ever want to work for myself or be in a position where I'm calling the shots or what have you. I never thought that way. And it was there was certainly a transition period, going from a 9-to-5 job to, hey, I'm in a 1099 position now. That was scary.
Oh, you went through that phase where you feel like it was, holy
yes.
cow, like there's nothing for me to back on.
Yep. I mean,
How long ago,
countless times crying in the car away from the family. So it's
how
just
long
like,
ago did you make that decision? I mean, obviously, I've never asked you. So just 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. When I decided to get out of the 9-to-5 off of a W-2 form. And
wow,
yeah,
he's handling many operations. Well, let's talk about passive champion income. I mean, that's one of the major companies you work with, right? Yeah. And then because you had the financial industry background, you basically pioneered into this industry, a new industry that not a whole lot of people know about it. Mm-hmm. All yours. Tell people what Champion Passive Income is.
Well, yeah. So Champion on a larger scale is kind of a private equity company as well. And the particular branch that I work with, and I had the opportunity to meet the co-owners of the business before I actually started working with them. I knew them from the financial world. So I actually knew the guys. One of them I knew pretty well. The other one I had seen a couple of times, really hadn't got any opportunity to know him, but I've obviously gotten to know him over the past couple of years now.
Right.
So the transition into doing what I'm doing now is just, I saw the need for families, sitting down with all these different families. I love helping people get out of debt. I love people, help setting up a game plan, how to save, all that. But with the rising costs of inflation, with rising costs of everything, gas, food, etc., what really stuck out to me is that people need a way to generate more income. They have access to it now. One of the things about helping people set up a retirement or what have you, it's usually that money, depending on what it is, you can't touch that until you're 59 and a half without getting taxed or penalized.
Right.
And so, hey, I'm not nothing against that at all. But I just see the need for more and more ways to generate different streams of income. Again, something that you have access to now versus 20 or 30 years down the road. Mm-hmm. So I took some time to study what they were doing before I ended up making the switch over into with this company. Because it wasn't something that I wanted to just give up my licenses and wash my hands, which I ended up doing. I no longer have licenses in the securities world. But that's really what fueled the transition into what I'm doing now. And so what we do is we actually help, because if you need extra income, what do you think most people are doing to get that extra income?
Extra job, right? Second jobs and
third job, spending extra, Uber driving or picking up a shift at a restaurant, right, or
working
something.
More hours.
Yes. So what type of family life are you having there, or just even a personal life are you getting with that?
More going to the negative from that aspect.
Yep. So what our company has done is we help people create a passive stream of income through something that is called digital real estate. And I don't know if you've ever heard about that before. I had mentioned it to you.
Sure.
But
not a whole lot. Not a whole lot.
Yeah. So it's not digital real, like a lot of people think metaverse, or they think blockchain or crypto or NFT or, something like that. It is absolutely not what it is at all. Mm-hmm. What we do is we actually build lead generation websites. So they're, and it's our target niches and markets are for mostly blue collar service providers, roofing, decking, siding, plumbing, electrical, pretty much anything that can't be replaced by AI. And so what our company does is that we'll actually go through and we'll identify by demographic, by size, by location, where in the US, but we'll search for areas that there's a high search volume for something. So let's say it's like concrete. Let's just use Houston, Texas for an example. Let's say, you got a lot of people searching for concrete repair, foundation repair. There's great contractors in that area that do the work, but it's just, they don't have much of an online presence. Mm-hmm. So we simply just build a website for HoustonConcreteForYou.com or what have you, and then just drive all that online traffic to that website.
Right.
And then all the data that we collect off that, all the leads and everything, we sell it to those contractors in the area that do the work. And so, when I say create a passive stream of income for people, that sounds like a lot of work.
Right.
But that's not what our clients are doing. Our clients are simply just purchasing these domains. They buy it. It's a one-time cost. They buy it. And then once we build it out, so we're basically the property manager, we build it out, we get it ranked, and then we will sell the leads. And then the revenue that comes in off of that, 75% of that goes back to our client, who's not the service provider. It's just the person looking for a passive stream of income. And then we get 25% just as management. More or less.
Same concept from real estate, but it's in the digital realm, right?
Yep.
So what kind of average return are you seeing for the most part?
So it takes, so just like it would a physical property. So if you bought a plot of land to build a rental apartment on there, what have you, it takes 6 to 8, 10 months for, to build that before you can actually get a tenant in, collect the rent or what have you. So it usually takes us about a year, right around 12 months for these sites to be fully scaled. And on the low end, we're seeing a net annualized net return of about 30%.
That's incredible.
On the low end.
That's very, very hard to achieve in any type of investments.
Yes. And you don't have to worry about with the digital real estate, you don't have to worry about, evicting client or tenants. You don't have to worry about the water heater going out, the shingles blowing off or what have you.
Right.
It's, you don't have to pay property taxes, anything like that. It's a website.
Right. And then also you have your entire operation set up to kind of service all that, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So we actively, so again, we're the property manager. We actively manage all of that. I think when I was studying more about how this company's works, is that we have every incentive to make sure that those sites are performing, because our profit comes in on that 25%. That's where our company makes the money.
Right.
And another big element to this that I absolutely love is just that it is actually, you could get up to 100% tax write-off year one with these. So not only is it an asset that will create a cash flow, but it's also, there's a lot of tax advantages for it as well. And then we have a 2-year guarantee return of principal. Where else can you find that?
Well, yeah, that's incredible stuff.
You're a realtor. Where could you find that?
I'm gonna put his information, Chuck's information, in the description of this video, so you guys can reach out to Chuck, learn more about this product and his services as well. So it's something incredible. I've come to learn a little bit with Chuck over the past few months, and it's something I think more people should know about this as well, just as a tool to your investments. How long have you been with Champion Passive Income? Since 19?
No, I just over a year now.
Wow.
Year and 3 months. Yeah.
You're doing real well, huh? With the Champion Passive Income. So he has been able to help a lot of people throughout his knowledge with the company investments and also the previous lives. So I've seen that. I've sent some customers to Chuck's way as well to get their situation straightened out. I know the financial world is evolving every single day. Like what kind of new trends are you seeing from your perspective? Like what people are doing, like where the world's going, like from that aspect.
Man, that's changing from day to day. Not sure how to answer that question. So
I'm talking about more like investment. Also like investment. Are you seeing people are going more conservative, or they're just finding out, trying to look for new ways to invest? After you talk with so many people, like what's number one goal they have now, I would say?
I do. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that might disagree with this, but with the economy, everything that's going on in the world right now, I mean, there are a good number of people that I would say are looking for ways to diversify their type of what they're investing in, how they're making cash flow. Again, what I mentioned earlier is that, it's great to have a long-term strategy for savings. But I think that's evolving more and more just because of what the economy is doing. People need that extra income to come in now. And so there's that. There's people that are being a little bit more conscientious of what they're investing in. Where's my money going? And, one of the benefits about what we have with our company is that, your money is going to be a lead gen for mostly blue collar type work. So it is a wonderful thing because you're helping another business. I was a roofer, get a lead who could potentially close that. That's bringing his revenue for his company. All he's probably got, how many people under him. Those are all feeding their family.
Yeah.
100%. That's something that you can, it's like, hey, I'd put my money towards that. Plus I'm making profit off of the leads that we're generating for these companies.
Right.
And it's something that, the more and more clients that we talk to are just, they're really excited to, like, oh, I know where my money is. I know what it's doing.
Yeah.
And then again, like I said, it's different area service providing jobs that, again, not something that AI will or a robot will take over or something like that. So it's actually been doing really well, especially, even in as hard of an economy we are. Every month we're seeing more and more growth of what we're doing. So we're simply providing leads for companies.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
of
that
course
brings a lot of value.
Right. I mean, of course, there's more details to their operations. So you guys, I'd be happy to put you guys in touch with Chuck to learn more about it. So with what you've been doing with all the stuff on your plate, what kind of legacy and what kind of impact are you looking for going forward?
Impact in general, or my family, or
your family, your business, and what kind of legacy are you wanting to leave behind? Like say if we were to sit back down here, 50 years from now, hey Chuck, maybe with the 4 or 5 more pieces of gray hair, and
if I still have hair. I'm the only one in my family too that's going through this right now too.
No, I'm just kidding. You look great. You belong. So
yes, blends in. It's a really good question. I think it's a deep question about the legacy thing, and thought about it quite a bit. I don't know if I have 100% straight answer on that yet, but I will tell you a story about my dad. And if I could do something like this would certainly be a legacy. So I had mentioned before that when my dad passed away, my youngest sibling was 2 years old.
Yeah.
Never had the opportunity to know his dad, anything like that. But he actually wrote a song about our dad.
Wow.
And a couple of years ago, and so I didn't know it. Maybe there were some other people in our family that knew that he wrote this song. But it was at one of my brother's wedding up in Minnesota. He got married, and after everyone gave their speeches, whatever, he decided to play the song and sing the song to everybody there at the reception. And it's all of us brothers sitting up at the table with the bride and groom and everything. And he plays this song. And get it, he does not know dad, and we were all in tears. Wow. There was not one dry eye, and that's legacy.
100%.
It's even though that he didn't have the ability to know dad like we did, he got to learn more about dad through all of his brothers and sisters and things like that, and still. He would and the irony of the thing is out of all the brothers that knew dad, it was the one who didn't that actually wrote the song.
That's powerful.
That's powerful. Family, but obviously faith is very huge for us too.
Yes.
I think when I tell people this too, there's 15 of us and we're all still practicing Catholics. It's not like you have people that have gone off to different areas or aren't practicing or don't believe or anything like that. So that's I'm beginning to realize that that's very uncommon. So that's huge for me.
Interesting. Really?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Things change, right?
Yes.
Things change.
And so that's big for me because,
that's very encouraging to hear.
What does it profit a man to gain the world, but then lose his soul in the end? And so that's the biggest thing. And I know that's certainly what our dad wanted and instilled in us. I certainly want to instill that with my children too.
That's huge. That's huge. And me and Chuck have had many, many conversations. Hey, by the way, Chuck, thank you for sharing what he just shared with us. Many, many conversations. And oftentimes, and Chuck's got a very open mind. And I've even come to learn something I never thought about. once you start having these conversations, you know things that you never thought you would know, or you maybe had an impression or you had understanding that, just somehow you just had that misunderstanding. You didn't even know it was misunderstanding. So back to that, honestly, one of the misconceptions I had about Catholics, I didn't think that your Bible was the same as a Christian Bible. I didn't know. I just didn't have that notion, right? But we started talking about the things, and Chuck was like, hey, that's in this book and that's in that book. I was like, well, you know what? The context was pretty much the same. Had I not had the conversation with Chuck about those things, you never know.
Yeah.
So have an open mind to learn things.
Well, you asked about like connecting with people. I think it's important, because how do we reach people? And not only on the business level, but we need a personal level, professional level. Just you have to be open. And I think that's another thing that my wife's helped me out with too, is getting her perspective on things, understanding. Again, it's being able to run things by her, and she's solid.
That's
I'm
awesome.
very fortunate to have her. So
that's great. I feel like, me personally believe that there's nothing. I mean, going out there and telling people what you believe is one of the most brave things people can do. You believe in your beliefs, of course, and then you go out and tell people what you believe in. That's incredible to do. That's incredible. Well, Chuck,
I appreciate it. So
this is awesome. So I'm going to post it. More people
awesome.
can share about your listen to your messages, and this is awesome, Chuck. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know you've been asking me for a while, but got around. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you, guys.